guys, Anna here. Welcome back to the channel and welcome to another speed build. Today we're in the world of Gibby Point and we are building a camp, like a children's camp, I guess. This is of course utilizing the fairly new Sims 4 Adventure Awaits expansion pack. This is my first time building with the pack. I built this obviously back in October when the pack came out, but because we have been going through our base game renovation series, I haven't been able to upload it. But for the month of November, we've got three custom venues that we are doing, just utilizing a lot of the assets from the newer pack. And we've got, I think, 4 to 5 houses, family homes. You would have remembered I had been playing with the Clark family and I've been ever updating their house because they keep having children. So you'll see a lovely build for the Clark family. It's a massive build. I'm really happy with it. All right, so back to today's build. So this is a children's camp and I want to talk a little bit about the concept of this design. So I designed this on grid paper and what I wanted was, I had this idea of having like central campfire and all of the cabins facing diagonal to the campfire. But I realized that the campfires that came with Adventure Awaits are tiny. They're actually very small. So I needed to find something else that was huge that could act as like a central point that would make sense. And in the end, I decided on a fountain. The issue is that none of the fountains in the game really fit the style. I wanted something that would fit into kind of this world and everything. So the one I landed on was the one actually from Cats and Dogs. So this is the fountain that is in the main, is it Stable Square? I'm not sure if that's the neighborhood, but there's a central fountain and that's the fountain. And the reason I went with that fountain is it's got rocks and boulders and stuff. And it also doesn't look as like, how do I explain it? The other fountains we have in the game, they're either super modern or they look like they're to be in a garden. You know, they're like an elegant garden. And we don't really need that in the kind of landscape where we are. So when I was thinking of like children's camp, I was thinking of, you know, kind of cabin, rustic decor. I was thinking of minimal technology, lots of activities. I obviously wanted to do this build to utilize the pack and everything that comes with it. So in this particular build, we have 4 cabins and a mezzanine. So the 4 cabins, you have one cabin is for the camp director, one for the camp counselor, and then you have 2 of the cabins, which are the back ones closest to the mezzanine. They are for your campers. So there are 4 beds in each. So that makes up for 8 campers. And you have in the campers cabins, you have like toilet stalls. And then in the camp director and counselor, they have full bathrooms in there. So there's, because we'll get into the issues that I had with this build, but their rooms are fully decked out. They're actually a pretty spacious bedrooms. So yeah, the mezzanine has so with the mezzanine, you obviously, that's where you have your big kitchen, you have a dining room, you have kind of what I call like a common room, which is like, it's got like a seating place, a fireplace, arts and crafts, and just a place to kind of really sit. And then you have 2 bathrooms in the mezzanine. You have, which are full bathrooms, and that's where the showers and whatnot and the baths would be for the campers, because technically the workers actually have their own, but obviously, yeah. Anyway, so full bathroom. That is a 2-story building. So you go upstairs, and then upstairs we have I guess it's kind of like a foyer where there's some skill building, and that's all musical related. So you have a piano, a guitar, and the child's violin, and there's a chess table up there. So lots of skill building up there. You also have like a supplies junk kind of room, and then an additional bathroom upstairs. So there are a lot of bathrooms, a lot of amenities, and a lot of activities. So how I've designed this is, of course, I've got the 4 cabins that face inward, and they're on a diagonal, and I wanted it to be on a diagonal. This was the design concept. The thing that I didn't factor in is that currently with The Sims 4, we're not able to place stairs on a diagonal porch. So you will not see any of that footage. I cut it all out, but it took me a hot minute to work out how to do it. And in the end, the solution I had, it was not the best solution, but it was the best to what I had. And I kind of added this kind of wonky improv extension to each one of the porches. And I was able to add a staircase because that part was straight. You'll see it when we get to it, but it does look a bit wonky. So as I mentioned, you got all the cabins facing inwards to the fountains. You have 2 campfires, which you can see now. So I've got one on one side and one on the other side. Because I wanted to have like a big campfire, but we don't have that in the game. So I decided to do this instead. I like how it looks. And then on the on the left side, you have your archery station. So you have 4 stations for archery. And then I also put in this little picnic bench and then put some arts and crafts. And then on the other side, I didn't know what to do. I had this space. So I decided to put one of the butterfly sanctuaries there. And as you can see, the little squares all around the lot, they are actually butterflies. In live mode, they are alive and fluttering and they spawn. But at this point in build mode, they are just like a little non-functional square. So yeah, if you see that square, that's what it is. And then on the other side, on the right side of the build, you have a playground. So I wanted to utilize pretty much all the new aspects of this pack. The only thing that's not in this particular build is all the diving stuff and the pool accessories and things like that. I do make I guess it's kind of like a rec center, or like I call it a fitness and wellness center. Later in the month, so you'll see that utilizes the new diving boards, the slides, things like that. So all of the gym equipment, all of that kind of aspect of the pack, because the pack definitely has different aspects to it, especially with the build and buy. So you've got this cabin like furniture that's very, dedicated for making things like a kids camp or like, I guess, homes that maybe fit in this area of Gibby Point in this world. And then you have a more modern side. So it's still kind of, I won't say rustic, but it's kind of rustic. It's very comparable to the modern furniture that we got with Horse Ranch. So it fits in nicely with that kind of stuff. All right, so as I mentioned, lots of activities here on this camp. So butterfly catching, archery, the playground, the campfires, crafts, skill building. I did want to make this with limited packs. Normally my first build I make just with the new pack and base game, but I wasn't able to do that. There were a couple of places where I just needed something from another pack. For example, you'll see I used some of the Horse Ranch archways. They were just rustic looking. The ones that came with the pack were modern. So that was kind of one of the issues I had with the assets, is that I didn't have enough of one style. I had bits and pieces, and it didn't really work out. Okay, this is that wonky kind of add-on that I have added on to all of the cabins. I'm not happy with it, but it's the best I could do. So I just copy and paste that all onto the 4 cabins. It's not too bad. We do add like a nice little veranda for each of the cabins. And we spruce it up and make it look really nice. All right, what else? Okay, so let's talk about kind of the challenges faced with this build. Obviously, we're looking at it right now. I loved this concept, but how was I going to get stairs on these diagonal porches? That was a bit of a challenge, but also the sizing. Spacing is really hard. I really struggle with the 64 by 64 lots because when you open it and it's a blank canvas, it's the most overwhelming thing. And you place an object onto the ground and it looks like an ant. It looks tiny. And you're like, how are you ever going to fill this big lot? My advice when you're approaching a big build like that is to have a plan, you want to work in sections. So for example, I'll use this build. So I knew that the fountain was going to be the center of the build. So I placed my fountain first. That got me the center. And then I built around that. So I was like, okay, I know that the cabins need to be fairly evenly spaced and they're all going to face inwards. That then allows me to create this side part. So where the archery section is and the playground. So once you've got the cabins in, I was able to place that. And then you really strategically plan your landscaping. So that is kind of a way that you could really deal with these larger lots, is by sectioning it and creating zones. Okay, so this is where the buildings are going to be. This is where a lot of the time, so for example, if you were doing like a farm in like Henford on Bagley, okay, so where's the main house going to be? Where is the where's the gardening section? Where's the livestock going to be? Like, you can section it out to how you want it to be. Okay. All right, back to the build. So we have kind of loosely done the landscaping here. I didn't want too much landscaping because luckily this lot really did fill up with the buildings. Now, I did make everything too big. These cabins are huge. They're actually 2-story, and if you were to download this build, it is available on the Sims 4 gallery. My gallery ID is Antoinette44. It is in the description below. You could, if you want to, use the upstairs. You don't need it though, because these cabins are so big. I actually had ample space, and that is why with the camp director and the counsellor cabins, I had to put a full sitting area. They have a full bathroom. They have a desk, because I had to use the space. There was just so much ample space. The kids' cabins weren't too bad, because they had to have 4 beds and a dresser and all sorts. But yeah, I think I did a good job in making sure there were activities and not repeated activities, and I think that's why I leaned more towards a limited build, because I really wanted to have activities that I felt fit the theme, but also, and again, I didn't want to use lots of technology. So even though we got a new gaming console with the pack, I didn't want to add that at a kids camp, because you want them to be outdoors, you want them to be doing things, you don't want them being inside, stuck onto a TV. In saying that, there are laptops in the camp counselor and the director's room, and that's because I thought realistically there would be some technology, potentially. Like, what if the Sims had to order medicine or things like that to get supplies and stuff? Like, it would make sense that they would have that. So I have added that in there, but the kids' bedrooms, I tried not to add anything like that. So I really like the common room, and I'm really excited to show you that. It's just a really nice kind of like sitting area, and yeah, it's really good. So we are adding the final touches of landscaping at this point. Another point with the landscaping is that, so one of the new features of the pack is hide and seek. So the kids will like jump into the landscaping and hide. And I think that that's really great. So I definitely wanted to have a lot of landscaping so that, the kids could play hide and seek and everything. But also, again, it just helps you fill up the lot. It helps you frame the lot. And yeah, so it was interesting because I talked a little bit about it before with the other type of lot. So Griffey obviously designed the Gibby Point Kids Camp, whatever it was called, and that was on a waterfront lot. And the thing is with the waterfront lots is about 40 to 50% of the lot is water. So I couldn't fit this particular design on that lot. Otherwise I would have. So we don't have any water activities. So I did change the schedule for this custom venue to not include water activities, which the original default ones for like a kids camp does have it. But you can obviously edit all that. I'm pretty sure when you download it, I'm pretty sure you can edit it. I haven't done too much of the gameplay. I've played a little bit with this pack and I did really enjoy it. I haven't really got into the imaginary friends section, but I have enjoyed the pack as a whole. So let me know in the comment section down below your thoughts on this pack. Have you enjoyed it? Do you use it a lot? Do you feel that if it's worth getting? All right, so we are finally moving into the mezzanine area. So I start with this kind of like, I guess it's like a landing entryway. And I love these mudroom hutches that we're getting. We obviously had that kit that came out that has all of the dedicated furniture for that. But then we got a more kind of rustic looking one in this particular pack. So I just put in a couple of decorations. This was the original size of the bathroom. I decided to separate it into two because it made more sense. And because I was using limited packs, I didn't want to use like showers and stalls because those come from other packs. Although I did use it in the camper's bedroom because I think at this point I was still trying to make it very, this pack only. And for the most part, I was able to do it. But this is where I wanted to use that rustic archway from Horse Ranch. I just think it fits the build so much more. All right, so you go through those double doors and you go into the kitchen space and then through to this dining space. It's a very simple space. This dining table comes from the new pack. All this isn't from the pack. These curtains, I'm not sure if I like them. You'll have to let me know in the comment section down below. Do you like these curtains? I think they're a bit odd. I do think that they're very situational. That kind of print is not a print that you could put in a lot of places. But it works for this particular build. All right, this is the common room. So we start with placing 4 desks, and this is where all the arts and crafts area stuff is going to be. I love all of that kind of furniture. This furniture set that has all of the pulleys and stuff, it's so good. I just love how dated and rustic everything looks. And to be fair, all this stuff could have literally gone into the Horse Ranch expansion pack. I've said this before, sometimes I feel like they make a lot of assets and like they introduce them into different packs. So this, for all we know, was leftover assets from that pack. So yeah. I do really like the amount of wall decorations we got in this pack, especially this little kind of cabinet piece that has the board games in it. I'm a huge board gaming fan, so when I saw that in the new pack, I was super hyped about it. I also love these like gallery wall art paper artwork, and also like the little flags of the campus stuff. You could see that there. So I've included all that. I've also added in some stuff from Cats and Dogs, that stack of books. It felt appropriate to the theme. So a lot of that kind of like clutter and additional items that I added in was really to kind of like push forward the theme, because again, we didn't get quite a lot of stuff. If it was just one pack only, this would be a very empty lot. And yeah, I found this a debug. The debug menu for this pack was actually really quite good. There wasn't a lot in terms of like landscaping, but that makes sense. Like it's a very kind of like, it's not really foresty, but it's kind of like just very plain greenery. Lots of trees and whatnot. All right, so we're moving on to the bathrooms. So we start with this first one. This is the larger out of the two. So I've put in the tub. I used the standard shower as opposed to the new shower of the pack. The new shower in the pack is 100% like an outdoor shower, and I didn't really feel like it fit the inside. So I've used that. But then we have a really modern type sink. It's very interesting. I love, love, love the mirror that comes with this pack. It's like that little circled like mirror, and it's got like a little strap around it. I think it's so cute, and it definitely leads more modern, but it's like modern rustic. Like it would fit in the like I could go back to Horse Ranch. But that's how I feel. I also really love the rugs in this pack. I love the prints on them, the designs, even these lamps that have the oars, the standing lamp. I really love that. But yeah, I did definitely feel that like I was able to make a very cozy kids camp. All right, we're in the kitchen. We didn't get a kitchen set with this pack, so I had to obviously use either base game or another pack. I've actually used the ones from For Rent. And I think the reason I did that is because this furniture set here, you can see with the chairs and the stools, some of those prints kind of give me the vibe that they would fit with the like For Rent like furniture. That and obviously Jungle Adventure. So the cooktop and the fridge is from Jungle Adventure. Counters are all from For Rent. So we've got obviously a standard kitchen with a little island. You have a bar as well in this area, and then just a small little small table. I guess it's called like a breakfast table. So we've added in that. I wanted to make sure I used the blender because that was a new asset in the pack. There is also a kettle that came with the early access. That's actually really good. Not early access, sorry, bonus items. So if you purchase the pack before a certain date, you receive a certain number of items. I don't really use the heater thing that much, but I reckon I'll use that kettle so often because it is so nice. It's such a nice kettle. I do like the little plant that we got with this particular pack. We got some like cooking utensils. And yes, I've got this little bar area. I just thought to include it because I had the space. It was more like I just had the space. This tapestry comes from Horse Ranch. I've put in just some things that, because I've got to remember that it is really like it's kind of like a community lot. It's weird. It's like, it's not a house, but it has aspects of a house. So I put some hand towels in the kitchen because I thought that would be a bit thematic. All right, this is the upstairs. So how I designed this is I wanted to have like a little desk in the corner here. This main part that you see there is where all the skill building goes. We end up putting a piano and just a seating area with the chess table. We then have a large bathroom, which is at the end of that hall. And then the other room that kind of is front facing, that's just behind us, is like a storage room. And I thought that that would be quite realistic, that there would be a storage room that just has some junk in it and stuff, some supplies, because again, it is technically in some way a community lot, you know? So, and I don't usually build a lot of community lots. So the idea, the concept of this pack was a little bit out of my comfort zone. I feel comfortable with just family homes. That's what I build. It's my bread and butter. This stuff, not so much. But I'm really proud of the 3 that I did. And you will see that this month on the channel. If you have not yet subscribed, please consider subscribing. It does help me out, especially if you'd like to see more content with this pack. Or just in general, like if you enjoy watching speed builds, I post twice a week here on YouTube, and I just have a range of different builds. I've just done a base game renovation series. I tend to do series, so I tend to do my content in the span of a month, and I like to have a theme for that month. It helps me creatively as well keep in check. All right, so we kind of just spoke all over where that kind of storage room is, but as you can see, it's just got random stuff in it. It's not really got anything, you know, major in there. Alrighty, we are now up to decorating the cabins. So we start with the campers. Now, all of them have the same layout, but they have different color schemes. So I tried to pull a color from the wallpaper to kind of be like, okay, this is the pink red room, this is a blue room, this is a green room. And it did help me with furnishing because I didn't have to think too much. I could kind of pick a layout that I liked and then just copy and paste that entire layout across the different cabins. So both the campers' cabins look identical. The only difference is the activity that's in there. So I put more crafts in this particular one. They also have a bookcase. In the other cabin, they have like a puppet play item, which I think is great. I think things like that on a camp would be so fun. So even though it's from another pack, I do enjoy that. So again, I mentioned I added 2 stalls in each of the bathrooms for the campers. This is the second camper's room. So this obviously sleeps a total of 8 campers, which I'm pretty sure is pretty standard for the game, because you need to have 8 campers and then 2 adults. And then obviously this pool's more green and blue, and just really lovely. I did forget to put windows in until last minute. That's why I was really struggling to fill the wall space. But I added them in. I also added those canvas rolled up curtain items that we got with the pack. I think they're okay. The texture on them is a bit weird to use in like a standard space like this, but I think it's still valid. I like it. I put in the Sasquatch from the Little Campers kit. That was a kit that I could have used a lot of as well. But I decided just to use the Sasquatch from it. I put in the little fan, and I put a butterfly net, like storage thingy, home thing. I don't know. That's in there as well. Okay, we are moving on to one of the first main bedrooms. So these rooms have the same kind of layout. They have a desk, they have a full bathroom, and they have their double bed and a seating area. I think one of them has a dresser. I don't know if the other one does. Did I forget? Potentially. But as you can see, I've tried to keep with the color scheme. So I've used a lot of blue, a lot of teal, kind of greenish colors in here. So we've used that. I really like the layout. Again, these rooms were massive. Like, I could have, in hindsight, made these cabins smaller. But when you look at the build, like from the exterior, and like you just like kind of zoom out, it looks like it's perfectly spaced. But then when you decorate it, it's just hard because there's so much space. This took me forever to build. This is a lot of hours and hours of work. But yeah, I really hope you enjoy today's build, and I really enjoyed building it for you. And yeah, I'm so excited to get into the playing of this pack and use this cap. All right, so yeah, as I said, this is the main layout, so you'll have a central place to sit. I also really love these kind of I don't know, they're like a rattan style lamp. I really like those. They were quite nice. And yeah, so definitely some standout items. I am obsessed with the playground system, the modular playground system. I really liked that. I love this couch set, this kind of cabin-like set, as I mentioned before. Imaginary friends, I think it's a cool concept. I had obviously played with them in Sims 3, but I wasn't a huge fan of them. But we'll see. I do like the concept of archery. I think that's cool. I'm so obsessed that we have all the diving boards and the slide. I just love that stuff. So I'm here for it. All right, this is the final kind of, I guess, bedroom. I actually, and the wallpaper. I will say I love the little wallpaper. This one's got like Bigfoot on it. I love that. One of the cabins had like little aliens. And I've been seeing a lot of like alien like nuances in a lot of the assets from a couple of packs. So I wonder if that's like teasing a future expansion pack. That'd be interesting. Like I don't know, kind of, yeah. Anyway, I like the dresser. It's kind of worn and rustic. It kind of fits the other theme of the furniture. And yeah. All right, we are live in game and we are going to go through a tour. So this is just a kind of an overview of that central area. As I said, we started with the fountain and we put some campfires down. You have an archery section that has the butterfly sanctuary. Then the opposite side, you have a playground. I also put in a sand pit. That is functional because it's sand. The kids will play in it. So that's really cool. We then start with the kids' cabins or the campers. You have the stalls, so they've got toilets and a sink. You've got the beds and you've got some crafts. The second cabin for the campers is identical. It's just a different color scheme and it has other activities. It's got the puppet play activity thing. We then move to the camp, like I guess director and counselor rooms. They are identical. They get a full bathroom, so you'll see the full bathroom there. They get a desk, a computer, they get a seating area, obviously things like that. And yeah, same in this one. So as you can see, there is an upstairs. So if you were to add in a ladder or a stair, somehow, good luck, it's on a diagonal, you could technically utilize that space upstairs. All right, we are now moving into the mezzanine. So you walk in and you have this central kind of entryway. You walk down the hall into that common room. I love this space. It's my favorite place in the whole entire build. You then go back through a small hallway that leads you to the dual bathrooms. Yep, quite lovely in there. So that's where the campers would shower or bath. Back to the entryway to the double doors, you have the kitchen. So you have a bar, you have a breakfast table, you have your blender, everything you need. Through the archway into your dining room. And then you go upstairs into a landing space that has all your skill building. So lots of instruments and the chess table. You have a fully functioning bathroom, a storage room. See, quite a big bathroom. And that is it. That is the build today, guys. Thank you so much for joining me today. I hope you enjoyed it. And I will see you in the next one. Bye-bye for now.